Remember that time Disney made a really bad movie?
We are talking about some of the biggest movie flops of all time.
Treasure Planet is a movie.
Treasure Planet is a delightful coming-of-age tale based upon the book written of the same name. However, this time it occurs in space.
Space pirate. Victorian travels of treasure.
Someone saw it because they didn't make $0 exactly.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
It's fine. It's not a great movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. It shouldn't have been a flop. It's a great movie.
It's not a terrible movie. There's a lot of good voice talent in the film. Emma Thompson's in the movie.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Jim Hawkins.
I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Ron Clements and John Musker, who made this film,
Who are famous for Hercules and A Little Mermaid and an array of incredible Disney movies.
lucky for literally all of us, they chose to make Little Mermaid in 1989 and not Treasure Planet. Because can you imagine if, hot off the tails of The Great Mouse Detective,
Yeah, Treasure Planet, I don't get it. So I brought in my assistant.
Treasure Planet is about a young boy. It's a coming-of-age tale with a young gentleman named Jim Hawkins.
He's trying to find like the key to get to the planet, which has is like impossible, like in unlimited gold.
He adopts a new father figure, Long John Silver, but turns out he's a bad guy.
Yeah, so somebody was mean, and then they turned good, I guess. They were pretending to be good, but they are mean, and then they actually did good.
And then there's like drama with the good guys versus the bad guys.
Because there was a booby trap.
Oh.
It was like a camera laser across the floor, and they were just so focused on the gold that they just walk right through it, all of them.
You get it. You've seen it. You know.
Thanks, buddy.
So now we know what happens in Treasure Planet.
Now, the big thing that I do know about Treasure Planet, and it's really what sets this movie apart from a lot of other Disney animation, is that it combines both 2D and 3D style of animation.
I love Pixar. Obviously, Toy Story is one of my favorite movies of all time. I adore Pixar, but I also adore classically drawn animation, but I kind of want them separate. Is that weird?
I'm an equal opportunity animation, person. I don't discriminate. So I think it's beautiful that, there is a mix of 2D and 3D, It combines a little bit of the old school and the new school, and that's what we want.
You can tell, I think is my problem. Maybe you wouldn't be able to tell now, but you can tell when they have computer effects because since it was in space, it's a lot of the set pieces you can tell were computer animated. And it looks good, it just doesn't look as good as it would look now. Like it didn't blend that well. Like it kind of was like, remember the old Windows screensavers? That's what space looks like a lot of times in this movie. And then you've got traditionally drawn people mixed in.
they spent $140 million on this animated film in 2002.
And only grossed 110 million worldwide. Okay, so that's not that bad. I mean, they only lost $30 million. Okay, that's a lot of money to lose. And I think that Treasure Planet was just overly expensive because of that early use of 3D animation.
We own that, everyone. Viewers, we own that. And that was a mistake. And we can fix it still. And here's how. All of us, right now, go and watch Treasure Planet on Disney+. Let's get those views up. Let's get up those numbers. Let's go watch some Treasure Planet. I'm gonna go do it right now. I don't know why I'm here. I'm gonna go do it right now. See you later.
This is the moment Jim Hawkins had always dreamed of.
Whoa, Treasure Planet.
Beware the Wheelers. I don't remember them.
So perhaps of anything on this list, the one that I most want to see that I just haven't gotten around to yet is Return to Oz.
Came prepared for this section. Bet nobody else in this episode wore a weird Wizard of Oz shirt. Bet they didn't. Maybe Breedlove.
Now, I hadn't seen it until I was getting ready to film this. And wow, I'm glad I didn't watch this as a child.
I remember being shown that movie as a kid and like thinking, this can't be the movie. Is there another movie? Is there another VHS that you were supposed to show me? Because this is terrifying.
I was terrified as an adult during some of these moments.
But I also like it.
I actually love Return to Oz.
This explains why Breedlove is the way he is.
Pumpkinhead is physically vegan. I am Pumpkinhead. He sticks in a pumpkin. Oh. Zero carbon footprint, hello.
You know how there's like so many Alice in Wonderland remakes and a lot of them are like gritty? Like it's like Alice is older now and she remembers Wonderland and everyone's like, Alice, you're insane. And she's like, no, Wonderland is real.
I know that it's the little girl is played by Faruqa Balk.
America's sweetheart, national treasure Fairuza Balk plays Dorothy Gale, and we all know she went on to star in such iconic films as The Craft and
Almost like if Splashtacular was a movie.
It's in the title what this is about. It's about a return to Oz for Dorothy, who's younger now.
Dorothy look a little younger to y'all and less glamorous. Dorothy's face was beat in The Wizard of Oz, okay? Her eyes were doughy, her hair was laid, and that plaid blue dress was giving us everything. It was country girl glam.
Dorothy Gale is like talks about Oz all the time to the point where Annie M's like, shut up. It's kind of like, you know, when you go on that one trip and you won't shut up about it. Like we went to Africa a few years ago and anyone that will listen to me will see shark photos and see safari photos because I will not stop talking about it.
They put her into shock therapy, which, I mean, what a decision that was. And then presumably because of the shock therapy, she wakes back up in Oz.
There is a bad guy who is turning everybody to stone. And Dorothy has to like bring everybody together in order to defeat that bad guy so that everybody gets unturned into stone.
Man, do we wish the Wicked Witch was back. Oh, what I wouldn't give. She was fine, you know, all said and done. She threw a little fireball out of her broom.
Return to Oz cost $28 million and only grossed $11 million worldwide.
That sounds about right, honestly. I feel like that's too much money. It made too much money.
That is $11 million too much. This movie should have this movie should have grossed no dollars because it is insane. It looks like when I was in 6th grade, my friends and I decided to remake Lord of the Rings. And we filmed it on my friend's dad's camcorder in her backyard.
Now, we do know that Walt Disney was obsessed with Oz. He did have a lot of love for Oz. He, you know, it's part of his jam. A lot of his inspiration came from that, but I don't even think he'd be happy with this movie. Okay? It was just,
It's also a good movie, arguably, that is very stylish and, you know, holds up and sort of lives in that cult genre that Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
I don't like David Bowie's tight pants. I don't like him throwing a baby in the air, which he does a few different times throughout Labyrinth. Now I'm just talking about Labyrinth.
Maybe it was like a marketing fail in that they really should have pitched this to adults. And then it wouldn't have flopped. If they had been like, hey, you grown-ups that are 36, you loved The Wizard of Oz. How about a date night with your 37-year-old significant other to see this movie instead of like, hey kids, who wants to see a Saturday matinee?
We're gonna get you.
You know, I think maybe if they just marketed it differently, it would have worked out.
Isn't that a stolen lunch pail in your hand?
Isn't that a chicken in there with you? I could travel around the world in 80 days.
Around the World in 80 Days.
Well, again, the title kind of gives this one away.
It's in the name. Around the World in 80 Days is about Phineas Fogg and Passport 2.
An eccentric scientist who gets in a bet that he can make it around the world in 80 days, and so he goes for it.
And his colleagues think he's mad. And they're like, if you can't, you must promise to never invent again. What do his inventions have to do with them? Like, get your own life, okay? I'm out here doing me, following my dream, inventing stuff, and you're so bothered and you're so pressed. Well, guess what, sir? Your problem, your issue, here's a tissue.
And he does. Spoiler alert. He makes it.
This one, it needs to be clarified, is the Jackie Chan version of Around the World in 80 Days.
You never know when you are going to encounter a need for martial arts, which is why having Jackie Chan as a kooky sidekick is always a great idea. Was it a good idea for the box office? It was not a good idea for the box office.
I have seen it only because I had to watch it for this film, and Quincy told me I'd love it, and she lied to my face through the computer. She said, "Hey Molly, here's the list of films." And I said, "Oh, these look great. I haven't seen most of them. I'll get to work on those on Disney+. I really think you're gonna like Around the World in 80 Days. I unironically like that movie a lot. I think it's really funny. Great, I can't wait to watch it. Me watching it."
But I thought it was good. Does it have a bad like rating? Did critics hate it?
The characters are not good. They're not developed well. You're not rooting for the main character because I find him very annoying, so I don't even want him to win. He's not even like Nicolas Cage in National Treasure, where you're like, yeah, I'm rooting for this guy because he's really broody and I like him. Nope, none of that. I'm like, this guy's weird. This guy's annoying.
The early 2000s were not a good time for Disney animation or productions.
My favorite part of this film was getting on Slack after I watched it and going, was this all a cruel joke? At Quincy.
We're talking 110 million it cost to make this.
For you to only gross $72 million, that's not a flop, that's a flop.
It should have grossed more than 72 million. I wonder why it didn't. Honestly, maybe like it was marketing.
Flop.
So, you know what I think might have been the problem here? Like, Around the World in 80 Days, you know, is a Jules Verne novel that's like Soup's famous. This movie has been made before, we're remaking it. And they were like, let's make it funnier by making it way different than the novel.
There is really only one point of consistency in the plot between the book and the film, and that is that you want to go around the world in 80 days.
And I think that's where you lost people.
If I lived in the 19th century, I would not make it around the world in 80 days.
No, I don't think I'd make it. I'd be sitting there trying to give everybody some soap and some anti-bac.
I don't know if I could make it around the world in 80 days now.
I don't know why I'd want to. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
My mom all the time is like, you and Molly should go on The Amazing Race. She calls me up and she's like, hey, Quincy, you and Molly should go on The Amazing Race. And I'm like, Mom, I throw up a lot, and Molly would get really mad at me if I were throwing up.
I feel like I would have made it to like France or Italy, where there's a lot of wine and cheese, and I would have been like, I'm good. I don't need to go further into the world.
But I think that Molly and I could do a pretty good job in The Amazing Race.
But I think I'd make it to somewhere with good food, and I'd be like, we're done.
Your silly bracelets don't frighten me. All right, it's not silly.
You John Carter of Earth?
John Carter is perhaps one of Disney's most notorious flops.
Ooh, John Carter. This movie is trash.
I don't know, it's weird. I know that it's a book series that people love, but I tried to get into it.
This film is just plot dense with a bunch of stuff that makes no sense, so let's get into it.
This is a Wikipedia quote. The film chronicles the first interplanetary adventure of John Carter and his attempts to mediate civil unrest amongst the warring kingdoms of Barsoom. What the heck is that?
I'm not sure what they were thinking.
John Carter is some like really super like space Tarzan from Earth who like goes to a Star Wars planet to fight on their behalf.
Renegade cowboy gets transported by a medallion to Mars but not Mars
I think they call it Batu. No, that's Galaxy's Edge.
Barsoom.
with a bunch of aliens.
There's aliens with 1, 2, 3, 4 arms. And sometimes they're sassy about it. Like one pair of arms will have their arms crossed like this, and the bottom pair of arms will have their hands on their hips.
And also semi-humans in a political plot and conflict that he overthrows and is then sent back to trick his nephew, who he doesn't call by his real name, to get sent back via medallion through a mausoleum medallion to a person he married and then thought would still be with him 10 years later. Done.
Still unclear. And I watched it, and I don't know what happened.
It's a lot like watching Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars meets Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
John Carter was one of the most expensive films ever made. That is why it is so well known as being just a massive, massive flop. It was $350 million.
John Carter cost $350 million?
Think about that. Think about the fact that John Carter cost more money than any single Star Wars film.
John Carter is the epitome of throwing money at a problem and trying to fix it. And it's just not gonna fix it.
John Carter cost almost $200 million more dollars to make than Jurassic Park. Think about how good of a film Jurassic Park is. Think about the effects. Think about the fact that those dinosaurs still hold up. And now think about spending $200 more million on John Carter.
And it only grossed $284.1 million worldwide.
Well, first of all, grossing $281 million is like, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. Unless you spent $350 million on CGI aliens. And then you are up the creek there.
How would I impress aliens on another planet like John Carter with his jumping? I mean,
I could touch my tongue to my nose.
I think I'd impress aliens with, you know, my collection of human things. I'd be like, I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore.
Ow. Why can't I do that right now?
I think that I would maybe make them like a cute gift basket. Lindsay, how'd you know that I like this? And I was like, I don't know, you know, little bird told me. Hope you like it.
I'm doing it.
Her tongue touched her nose. She's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if we needed John Carter. And we certainly didn't need to spend $350 million. I feel like any movie, these people were just trying to make a hit. And you never know what's gonna hit, you know? Some people have taken really big risks and it's worked out great.
people worked really hard and they did their best and they just missed the mark.
The best of these, which is the best of these movies?
The best is Treasure Planet. It is no questions asked. The best film on this list. Anybody who tells you differently can take a lap.
I think I'm gonna go Around the World in 80 Days. I really like that movie just because it's so cheesy and such goofy fun.
Treasure Planet had a lot going for it, and I think it was just unfortunate that it flopped.
Simply because of that Goo Goo Doll song. I want a moment to be real. Wanna touch things I can feel and feel I'm alive. Yeah, I want a moment to be free. And a bad man of me and her. Hey everybody, it's Molly. Thanks for tuning in to this week's flop of an episode of RTT. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. If you want more RTT right now though, click over here for a playlist of our favorite movie-based episodes. And if you want more AllEars, click over here for a video about the best restaurants you have to visit in Disney World, but just once. Thanks for watching.